Okay, so this is for a toilet that's hard to flush because the handle, you can't push down on the handle, or you have to use two hands to push down on the handle in order to get the toilet to flush. So usually the first problem is the little gasket that's all the way in the bottom of the tank. So the first thing you want to do is you want to drain your tank, right? You want to, let's get this flushed. Let's shut the water off with the shut off valve that's down here. Let's go ahead and turn that off. Let as much water go out as possible. There you go. Go back up here. And as you can see, now you can kind of move this thing up and down. And underneath this is a little red gasket, which is this guy. It's called a flush valve seal. So I just bought this from Menards. It was only $1.98, so for $2. So anyways, first thing you want to do is this little hose right here. I'm going to pull this off. Take that off here. Then you want to pull this cap off. And you gotta see. Sometimes it gets a little tight on there. But just kind of unscrew it. Some of these caps too will have a little gasket on there and some won't. Usually the newer ones will not have this gasket. So if you do, that's fine. If you need to replace it, just buy a new one. I don't have a new one, so I'm not going to replace it just yet. So go back in here, kind of turn this a little bit so the flush valve handle comes out. And what you can do, it's hard to pull this thing up. Pull this whole piece off. So take this, I'm just going to put it on the side, put it right there for right now. And if you look all the way at the bottom, there's that little red gasket. There's definitely going to be a little bit of water in there also. So, trying to get that thing off of there. Sometimes it's a bit of a pain, sometimes it'll automatically just come right off. But pull that off. And if you notice, look how rounded this thing is. It's just rounded from kind of taking a beating for such a long time. You can kind of see a little oval here. But down there, you can see that the water's gotten a little black because there's a gasket underneath it also. But what we're doing is we're just replacing the flush valve seal. So I'm going to take this thing here. I'm going to throw that in the garbage. And then I am going to open this new one that we have. And if you noticed, based on the other one that we had, let me grab it. This was the old one. You can see how round it was, and this is the new one. So typically these are pretty universal. So this is what we needed. This is what we had. So this is why we were having the problem. So I'm going to take this guy, put it right over this, bring it all the way to the bottom. Yes, there will be a little bit of water in there. You can completely drain it if you want, but it's not necessary to do so. Put it down there. You may have to use two hands. Sometimes you can use one hand. Just depends. Definitely a little snug. You get it on there, and you just kind of run your finger all the way around it to make sure it's all the way down. You definitely want to have it as flat as possible. Alright, which should be good. Take this piece right here, and you can see because of that flush valve being so tight that this started rusting up in here because we had a metal handle in there, and the metal handle was having a hard time pull this thing up, so it just kind of started rusting on there. So you go ahead, put this back on there, take your little cap, just like this, Put the little cap on there. It's kind of screwed on there a little bit. Again, if you have a gasket, great to replace it. If not, no big deal. Take the little hose, this guy right here, put it right back in there. Grab your little handle. Let's get this thing going. What I'm going to do, as you can see now how easy the handle is to move the water up. So now I'm going to turn the water back on. Put the valve underneath the toilet. You can see the water is going to be rising here. You just kind of want to test it before you're completely done with it. So give it just a minute to fill up. Water is back on. So now when you go to your handle, which is right here, obviously, when you go to flush, before you had a hard time pushing it down. It was almost like you were going to break your finger or something. Now, it should be super easy. So if you watch it, look at that. Piece of cake. Look at that. Automatically pulls that thing right up. No problem. So we're going to let this fill up, and we're just going to test it that the toilet now flushes. Since we were having a hard time flushing it originally. Sometimes it takes obviously a couple minutes to fill back up, but we should be, we're getting there. Oh. Yeah, I did put a new handle on here too, but obviously the handle wasn't the problem. And all you really need is a little crescent wrench to turn this little nut right here. I don't have it handy with me right now, but I'm going to have to come back up here later and grab it. So anyways, let's see if this works now. It needs to fill up more. And again, when you take that red gasket off, there's another seal that's underneath it that's kind of linked to the bowl itself. So some of it has disintegrated. So like I said, you'll start to see some of that black water. Don't necessarily be alarmed with it. If you want to replace that, you have to pull off the whole bowl itself. But typically when the toilet is hard to flush, the first problem is the handle. When you're trying to push up the handle, it's that red seal, red gasket flush. It's called a flush valve seal. All the way at the bottom. And like I said, I went to Menards and I bought this thing. Here's what the package will look like if you go to Menards. It says Mansfield, it's just the brand. Like I said, they're usually universal, but right here it's a flush valve seal. And this thing was, again, $1.98, so it was under $2 versus doing a service call and having somebody come out and fix it. Let's see if it'll flush yet. There you have it. No problem with the handle coming up. Everything is good. So there you have it. For less than $2, you can fix this handle itself by just replacing the red seal. Flush valve seal. Thank you for watching.